Something I've been thinking about, Vortex. We are so very lucky to just have functioning arms and legs, functioning brain cells. Well, I don't know about that. Well, some of us are lucky to have functioning brain cells. Some of us appreciate our brain cells. Some of us appreciate the ability to think. Okay? Now, as the Vortex has probably already assessed, Amy Gross has had a bit of a struggle with cannabis. Okay? Now, I'm going to stress this because I think that a lot of people struggle with cannabis, but they don't know how to admit it because they don't see it as an addiction, okay? And when you don't see something as an addiction, it's really hard to grasp the idea that, okay, this is a problem. You know, like, I should probably stop doing something that I don't feel right about anymore. You know? Like, cannabis was a really, really great thing in my life for a long time because it helped me. It helped me not kill myself. It helped me. I think the cannabis helps make sense out of the world. I really do. I think that it's like there's something about that plant that just brings out the truth. Materialism sucks the life and the joy out of you. It really does. And when you smoke marijuana, you don't have any interest in all that materialistic garbage. You don't. The only thing that you want to buy is more pot. Am I right? Am I right, or are we right? Now, you can say that this is because, like, you're a drug addict or whatever. And I think that this is, somewhat true. I think that marijuana is an addiction, but it's a different kind of addiction. And so when we talk about it, first of all, there's no way to talk about it around potheads without them getting their little panties in a twist. Because let's face it, there's really nobody more sensitive than potheads. Okay? If you try to tell a pothead that pot causes psychosis or that pot maybe, just maybe, has some adverse side effects, it's like they get all up in arms about that because they cannot handle criticism of their precious little plant. And it's funny because, I was a huge pothead, man. Like, I would defend this plant to the ends of the earth. And there's certain regards, I still will. I think that it's medicinal for a lot of different reasons. But nobody knows how to use anything in this country, in case you didn't notice that shit. Everybody abuses everything that they have. So I think that people's marijuana privileges should be revoked. I don't think anybody should be allowed to smoke that plant until they figure out what it's supposed to be used for. Okay? Medicine, creativity. If you're not doing something creative, you're wasting the plant. Period, point blank. Get off the damn couch. It's just crazy, like, how people think that they need something like that, but, they don't actually have the problems that they keep thinking that they have that require them to be high all the time, Now, I realize that everybody's, on their own path, and I'm not trying to get anybody clean because, like, that's up to you, It's your life. And I really hate that about people in recovery, how they try to get everybody else sober. It's like the same thing that Christians try to do to, like, save people, I got into an argument with a colleague of mine who was high on acid at 11:30 at night at a bar while he had a 2-year-old daughter at home over the existence of God. Okay? This motherfucker was arguing with me over the existence of God, and he told me, you know, if you believe in God, it's up to you to convince me that he exists. And I said, first of all, I think that's blasphemous. I do. I think it's blasphemous, and I think it's immoral. Like, it's not up to me to convince you. Okay? If you're not convinced, you're not convinced. There ain't nothing I can say or do that's gonna change your mind, you know? Like, I don't think that God is something that you can debate. For like the same reason, I don't even think you can debate abortion, you know? It's life. You either agree with killing life or preserving life, you know? That's it. That's it. There's nothing to argue. Just like you either believe in God or you don't. That's it. There's nothing to argue. So it's not up to me to convince you of anything. And that's the problem with religion anyway, is the fact that the people are lured into it and they don't actually believe it. But because they're sheep and they do what they're told, they buy what they're sold, they don't actually trust God. There's a huge difference between believing in God and trusting God, okay? Now, trusting God is fairly difficult. I will totally admit that. I have a hard time with that myself sometimes. But, you know, all the stuff that I struggle with, all my infirmities are such a beautiful thing now because they've made me reach out to Him more. I'm a lot closer to Him. Like yesterday when I was having the PTSD episode and I was on my knees, I was so grateful for that shit. And that's the thing. I wish that people could just stop playing the victim and realize that you have this gift. You have a gift. Now, I realize that, you know, this is my perspective, and that's fine that if you don't share it. That's totally cool, but I just feel sorry for people that can't see that light. They can't see the fact that, you know, they could have it so much better if they trusted a power greater than themselves. And that really would restore them to sanity, just like the 12 steps suggest. I really think the 12 steps work if you actually apply them. The problem is a lot of people go to these meetings and they don't apply any of that shit. They just sit in the meeting because it goes along with their fucking identity. You know? That's the problem. This country is so stupidly obsessed with identity. And y'all are going to kill yourselves and you're going to go to hell. And so there's really no point in obsessing about all this shit, you know, when that's going to be your future. That's going to be your eternal life. People think I'm doing satire. It's funny. You're the satire, honey.